Okay, Mr. Rutherford. Final question for you.
Okay.
Minority business enterprise. I personally know that you have been a staunch champion, stalwart efforts when it comes to fighting for minority business enterprises. Let's hear it from you, from the horse's mouth. Your thoughts on MBE.
Well,
is it more than a buzzword?
It should be more than a buzzword. I think it's a buzzword with the current administration, and a lot of folks it is. I've been working with MBEs for many years, and in the government space, I ran the small business office at GSA. We consistently were over 40% in our procurements from small businesses generally, but when we got to minority businesses, which were the small disadvantaged businesses or 8A companies, we were well over our goals there as well. Now you're talking about an agency that purchases around $10 billion a year. So 12% of small disadvantage is a substantial number.
Truth is, many people, especially black businesses, they brag about your days in Annapolis, working for the state. Many businesses I know, they remember a time when it was real,
right,
that they could actually earn a government contract or a contract with the state of Maryland.
Well, what we did was just level the playing field. I mean, there were some contracts. I mean, Maryland does not have a set-aside for minority business. It has a set-aside that we created, we developed for small business called the Small Business Reserve Program. That was our idea. And I will take credit that that was the idea that I presented to then Lieutenant Governor Michael Steele.
I remember that. Because he ensured, what, 10% of all agency contracts?
No, well, no, it was that the state could reserve contracts for small businesses. That's how we started it out. Mm-hmm. Because Michael was asking me, he said, how can we increase the amount of minority business?
Michael Steele.
Michael Steele, mm-hmm. Right. And I said to him, I said, you know, there's nothing to stop us from reserving for small business, generally. You know, it's not specific to race or gender, just small businesses. If you qualify as a small business, we can set the regulations and we can have this reserve program where we reserve those opportunities.
What is it that you get that other people don't get when it comes to making sure minorities get a contract or get access?
I don't know if it's just that maybe my heart is there.
You have the will to do it?
The will, and I'm willing to do it. Pick up the phone and do it. I mean, let me give you an example. We didn't necessarily, with the state office project, when we expanded the state office building, the legislative, not legislative service, but the General Assembly building, $30 million construction project. My director of procurement and I, Tony Reed, was the director of procurement, we sat down and said, how can we break out this contract so other businesses can compete, smaller businesses versus a large bundled contract. We broke out a portion, demolition part of it and some site work, and we put that out to bid. It wasn't specifically geared for any minority businesses per se, but a minority business won that contract. It was close to $1 million contract, about 900 and something $1,000 contract that was won by Guilford Contracting, a minority contractor. I met Henry Guilford for the first time at an event sponsored by Arnold Jolivet, and Arnold introduced him to me, and I had known Arnold for years. And I told Henry about how that contract came about and what we did. He was surprised. He was surprised by it. Okay. What's interesting is that he told me about an issue that he was having with my former agency, Department of General Services. I was already out of there. That they were denying him a contract because he didn't meet the minority business requirement. And it was really a typographical error where he said he wanted to waive 2% of the MBE requirement. He'd still provide 28% subcontract to MBE. He's a minority contractor, so 98% of the contract dollars would have gone to minority companies. They excluded him and went with the large corporation, which was $1 million more expensive. That didn't make any sense at all. And that was a decision that the governor made.
The current governor?
The current governor. He could have changed that. He didn't have to do that.
Keep watching BeMoreNews.com. We've been talking with the one and only Boyd Rutherford, running for Lieutenant Governor here in the state of Maryland. The news before the news, where we uncover the truth.